The Hindenburg, the world's largest aircraft, was designed to represent Germany's mastery of the skies, a floating palace that stretched 245 meters long and carried passengers across the Atlantic in unmatched comfort. People admired its sleek structure, its elegant passenger decks, its dining room and lounge, and even a pressurized smoking room that existed only because of elaborate safety precautions. It moved at remarkable speed thanks to 4 diesel engines, crossing the ocean in half the time of the grandest liners. In 1936 alone it completed 17 round-trip flights without a single injury, earning a reputation for luxury, efficiency, and marvel. Yet beneath its beauty was a weakness everyone understood but rarely discussed. The United States controlled the world's supply of helium and banned its export, leaving the Hindenburg to depend on hydrogen, lighter, more powerful, and dangerously flammable. Engineers warned of the risk, but the political climate left no choice. Despite this shadow, the ship operated successfully through its first season, and those who boarded often forgot the danger. In early May 1937, the Hindenburg prepared for a new transatlantic crossing under Captain Max Pruss, while the respected Captain Ernst Lehmann joined only as an observer, still mourning the recent death of his son. Before leaving Germany, Lehmann received an anonymous letter warning that a bomb would destroy the ship. He didn't fully believe it, but he kept the note folded in his pocket as the Hindenburg departed Frankfurt with 97 people on board, including a 14-year-old cabin boy named Werner Franz, who was eager to prove himself on only his second trip to America. The crossing was uneventful as the Hindenburg approached the United States on May 6. Passengers pressed against the windows when the ship circled Manhattan that afternoon, staring down at the endless grid of streets far below. Weather delays pushed the landing into the evening, and the airship spent nearly an hour drifting along the New Jersey coast until storms cleared. Finally, it was cleared to land at Lakehurst Naval Air Station. As the ship descended, crewmen released ballast and vented hydrogen to adjust the trim. At about 180 feet, the mooring lines dropped to the ground crew below. A light sprinkle of rain fell. In the control car, the officers felt only a small jolt when one line tightened too much, nothing that suggested danger. Yet in the tail, something unseen was already going wrong. Several observers on the ground later described a ripple or a sag along the upper skin near the rear gas cells, followed by a faint blue glow, likely static electricity lingering from the earlier storms. A dull internal thump came next, and then a burst of flame tore out of the ship just ahead of the upper tail fin. Within seconds, the entire rear section was engulfed. Herbert Morrison, reporting the landing for radio, began shouting in shock, his voice cracking as the ship collapsed in flames. His emotional cry of, "Oh, the humanity," would be replayed for decades. Inside, chaos erupted with horrifying speed. Helmsman Helmut Lau was stationed in the lower fin when he saw gas cell 4 flash bright red, then disappear in an explosive fire. Flames ripped through the hydrogen cells, turning the framework into a furnace. The tail lost lift instantly, driving the stern downward while the unburned hydrogen in the bow forced the nose high into the air. The ship pitched violently, hurling passengers and crew across the decks. In the lounge, Major Hans Hugo Witt slid helplessly across the tilted floor as smoke pushed downward from the ceiling. In the bow, 9 crewmen tending the mooring lines were consumed almost instantly when fire blasted through the catwalk and out the nose. Those near the outer windows fared better. Many jumped from heights of 20 to 50 feet as the ship neared the ground. Chief Steward Heinrich Kubis threw open the promenade windows and urged passengers to leap. Some escaped with broken bones, others with burns, and some not at all. The Daner family suffered a terrible split. The mother threw her young sons to safety but could not lift her daughter before the fire overtook the compartment. Throughout the ship, the difference between life and death depended on seconds and position. Max Schultz, the beloved bartender who oversaw the smoking room, was likely cleaning at the moment of ignition and never made it out. Crewmen died at their posts, including radio operator Willie Speck, who continued sending messages until flames reached him. As the burning frame collapsed, sailors on the ground rushed forward with astonishing courage, pulling survivors from rubble and flame. Fire crews and medics swarmed the scene within minutes. The destruction had looked total, yet 62 of the 97 aboard survived, many stumbling out of the smoke in shock. One ground crew member died when debris fell on him. Among the survivors was young Werner Franz, whose escape has often been called miraculous. When the landing alarm sounded, he had been stacking dishes in the officer's mess. A thud shook the floor, the lights blinked out, and the ship suddenly tilted. As he stepped into the keel corridor, he saw a ball of fire racing toward him from the stern. Heat blasted through the narrowing passage as he scrambled uphill, slipping as the tilt grew sharper. He was certain he was about to die when a ballast tank above him tore loose, releasing a torrent of water that poured over him. The drenching shock snapped him into action and shielded him from the worst of the heat. Remembering a small supply hatch in the keel, he waited until the bow dipped enough to give him footing, kicked the hatch open, and jumped roughly 20 feet to the ground. Because he ran upwind, just as he'd been trained, the collapsing inferno missed him by seconds. He emerged from the smoke-soaked, bruised, but remarkably unharmed. Major Witt was dragged from burning wreckage by Lieutenant Hinckelbein after fiery cables wrapped around his neck. He later testified that he had seen no evidence of sabotage, only sudden flames and overwhelming heat. Many survivors echoed the same belief. Whatever happened, it had been instantaneous. Captain Lehman, gravely burned, was found sitting calmly in the infirmary, still focused on understanding the cause. When asked what he believed had happened, he whispered the German word for lightning. But as his condition worsened overnight, he reconsidered. On the morning of May 7th, speaking with Commander Rosendahl, he weighed every possible explanation and concluded that only a deliberate act, a bomb, seemed capable of causing such rapid devastation. He died not long afterward, having reversed his long-held confidence in hydrogen and insisting that any future airship must be filled with helium. The Hindenburg disaster, captured on film and immortalized by Morrison's anguished broadcast, became one of the first tragedies replayed around the world. For decades, theories swirled: lightning, static, sabotage, but among those who lived through it, the memories were more immediate. A flash, a roar of fire, a desperate jump, and the uncertain chance of survival. Many lived the rest of their lives carrying burns, scars, and the echo of those few terrible seconds.